Metro area county assessors are anticipating a record number of property value appeals. Pumped up property values could have homeowners paying a lot more in taxes next year. So we asked our real estate expert to continue looking into how people can dispute their assessed value if it seems too high. Lane Lyon is a realtor and managing broker at Coldwell Banker. Thanks so much for coming in.
Well, thanks for having me. I have to tell you, this topic has dominated real estate conversations all week because a lot of people are calling us and saying, what specifically do we need to do if we want to protest this?
Yeah, when you see those numbers, they can be super scary.
Absolutely.
So you actually spoke to the county assessor's office about the best way to appeal, right?
Absolutely. And really, it comes down to being able to point to your home's value by looking at other homes that sold around you. We call these comps. And Corey, this morning, we're going to take a look at what makes for good comps.
Okay.
If you're just not comfortable with the value that arrived in your mailbox. So take a look at this. First thing you want to do is make sure that you are, this might look like from a previous episode we did on property valuations. But what I want to say, first of all, is time period. You have to remember that this all comes back to your home's value based on June 30th of last year. And they're pulling data from 2 years prior to that. Second is going to be location. You want to look at other homes that have sold around you in your neighborhood, if possible. And then style and size. Now, you've got great style, Corey, I must say. But when we talk about style, we're talking about if you live in a two-story home, then you want to compare yourself to other two stories or ranches, etc.
Makes sense.
Also, similar square footage will make a difference. And then finally, characteristics. These are the unique elements of your property that make your home unique. So, for example, do you back to a mountain view? That's going to affect your value. Or do you back to a busier road? And you want to make sure that they're taking that into consideration when they're looking at your property value. Now, yesterday, one of the things that I found fascinating when I talked to the assessor's office is they will look at anything you send them during this appeals process. Everything from this is what I think my value should be, to market data that my realtors have provided, to photographs, if you feel like that would make a difference, to just really showing 2 or 3 properties that sold during that time that I think speaks to my value. A lot of realtors will provide this information for you because it's just a little tough to find it, especially when we're talking about that specific time period. So don't hesitate to ask someone you know that has access to that.
I know that the assessors look at every single one of those appeals. The timeline, though, here, the deadline is approaching.
The deadline is approaching, June 8th. Make sure you've got that on your calendar. So if you're not comfortable with the value that they're showing for your house, make sure you're putting in that appeal by June 8th. You can go online. It's just 2 or 3 pretty simple questions. But again, it can make a big difference.
Okay. And then what is this going to do to the market right now?
Gosh, you know what? That question's already starting to come up. And I have to tell you that some clients are already starting to reach out and say, Lane, look, if my property taxes go up too much, I may have some affordability issues that concern me. I might have to sell. And a lot of us realtors are saying, let's hang on. Let's see where things go. We know this has been a hot topic at the Capitol even just this week. It's certainly not the last we've heard of it. We won't know exactly what that tax adjustment is going to look like until later this year. So hang tight, but in the meantime, just make sure that the information that's being used to calculate the value on your property is as accurate as you can get it.
I have one last question for you, and I might be throwing you a curveball, but if you send all this information in, can they come back and be like, actually, it's higher than we thought?
Well, gosh, that is a great
That would
question.
be terrible.
That would be terrible. Make sure that the information you're sending in is really going to work in your favor.
Okay.
I have not heard that they can go the other way,
Okay.
which we would not want. But you know what? Gosh, property values have been all over, so make sure to do your homework.
Okay, yes, big time. Thank you so much.
You don't want to add insult to injury.
You know what I'm saying? That'd be awful. Lane, as always, thank you.
You bet.